In a quiet corner of Poland, just outside the town of Gryfino, there's a forest that seems to play by its own rules. It's a place where nature got bent out of shape. Literally, we're talking about a grove of several hundred pine trees, all planted around the same time, that share a bizarre secret. Shortly after sprouting, each tree begins to grow with a sharp, J-shaped curve, like a fishhook, before straightening up and reaching for the sky. This is the Krzywy Las, or the Crooked Forest. For decades, it has stumped historians and scientists, and inspired some pretty wild theories. So, what could make hundreds of trees all bend in the same strange way? Today, we're digging into the mystery, from weird gravity and wartime tales to what might just be the scientific truth. Welcome to the Crooked Forest, a protected local landmark in West Pomerania, Poland, that feels a bit like walking through a fairy tale. The trees here were planted around 1930, a key detail in this puzzle. For their first 7 to 10 years, they grew normally. But then, something strange happened, something that caused them to grow sideways for several feet before their trunks curved back up towards the sun. The real mystery isn't just that a few trees are bent. Nature is full of odd shapes. The head-scratcher here is the consistency. Most of the roughly 100 to 400 trees in the grove bend in the same direction to the north. Random acts of nature are rarely so organized. So what happened here? Was it a freak of nature, an act of war, or something else entirely? When you're faced with a sight as weird as the Crooked Forest, it's no wonder the imagination goes into overdrive, and it definitely has. One of the wildest theories is that the area has a unique, localized gravitational pull that yanked the young trees sideways. But that idea falls apart pretty quickly. For one, gravity pulls things straight down, not sideways in a curve. Plus, if a force that strong existed, it would affect everything else, including the perfectly straight trees growing right next to the crooked ones. Then, of course, there are whispers of aliens. Some have suggested a UFO landing or hovering nearby might have warped the saplings with some kind of energy field. It's a fun theory that puts the forest in the same category as crop circles, but as you might guess, there's zero evidence to back it up. These fantastical ideas, while easy to dismiss, really show how much this forest captures our curiosity. The sight is so strange it practically begs for an equally dramatic explanation. But as we get back to Earth, the theories get a little more believable, and a lot more rooted in history. A more down-to-earth idea is that extreme weather is to blame. The theory goes that a brutally heavy snowfall blanketed the saplings for a whole winter, pinning them down. When the snow melted, the trees started growing towards the light again, but their trunks were permanently bent from the weight. Botanists have seen this happen in other places, but it doesn't quite fit the Crooked Forest. A heavy snow is messy. It wouldn't bend all the trees so uniformly, in the same direction, and at roughly the same height. Nature is usually more chaotic, and this forest is anything but. That brings us to a more dramatic possibility tied to the era the trees were planted. This area was part of Germany in the 1930s, and just a few years later, World War II tore through the region. A popular story claims that German or Soviet tanks rolled through the young forest, crushing the saplings under their treads. The trees that survived, the story goes, grew back bent. It's a powerful image, a forest physically scarred by war. But experts are skeptical. For one, would tanks really roll over hundreds of trees so neatly? And the trunks don't show the kind of scarring or damage you'd expect from being run over by a multi-ton vehicle. So, if it wasn't gravity, aliens, snow, or tanks, what's the most likely answer? Well, the leading hypothesis points not to an accident, but to a plan. The very uniformity that makes other theories unlikely is the biggest clue that these trees were shaped by human hands. But how and why? Let's start with the how. While no one knows for sure, it's believed that local foresters used a special technique when the trees were about 7 to 10 years old and still flexible. The method may have involved bending the young trees and holding them in place, forcing the main shoot to grow horizontally. From there, biology takes over. A process called gravitropism. A plant's natural response to gravity kicks in. Even on its side, the tree knows which way is up and fights to get there. It creates a special kind of wood called compression wood on the underside of the bend, which is dense and strong, effectively pushing the trunk back skyward. Over time, this creates that permanent J-shape. So, why would anyone go to all that trouble? The answer is probably a form of forgotten craftsmanship. For centuries, people have needed pre-shaped pieces of wood or compass timber for specialized jobs. Having a supply of custom-grown curved wood would have been incredibly useful. This bent wood could have been intended for all sorts of things, like the curved parts of furniture. Think of those classic bentwood cafe chairs. Other possible uses include the ribs for building boat hulls, the runners for sleighs, or the yokes for ox carts. The forest may have been a living factory, designed to grow specialized parts for craftsmen. So, the most plausible explanation is that the crooked forest isn't a natural anomaly, but a living artifact, a monument to a clever, and now lost, agricultural craft. It's a testament to people who knew how to literally bend nature to their will without breaking it. And yet, a piece of the mystery is still missing, which is what makes this story so great. The town of Grafino was devastated during World War II, and the German population that lived there when the trees were planted was forced out after the war ended. Whoever started this project, and whatever its specific purpose was, their knowledge was lost to time. No records have ever been found. The foresters who began this incredible experiment likely never got to harvest their work. And so, the trees are still there. They stand as a silent, beautiful, and deeply strange memorial to a secret that we can almost understand, but will probably never fully know. The truth may be less magical than the myths, but the mystery of its lost purpose is what makes the crooked forest unforgettable. What do you think really happened in the crooked forest? Do you buy the scientific hypothesis, or do you have a favorite theory of your own? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoy exploring the world's strangest mysteries, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.